History is not made by those who seek power, but by those whom power seeks. In the flickering candlelight of a quiet room in Damascus, a young man sat, staring not at riches, but at maps. His mind was a fortress, his thoughts a silent storm. He did not know it yet, but the destiny of the entire medieval world was resting on his shoulders. This was Yusuf ibn Ayyub, later known to the world as Salahuddin. While others chased the fleeting pleasures of youth, he was in the courtyard. Every strike of his wooden sword against the post was a prayer for discipline. Every drop of sweat under the harsh sun was a brick building his character. He was preparing his body, but more importantly, he was tempering his soul. Damascus, the beating heart of the Levant, a city of knowledge, faith, and trade. As the birds soared over the majestic minarets and the markets buzzed below, Salahuddin looked at a broken world. The Muslim lands were divided, bleeding, and weak. The foreign Crusaders held the Holy Lands. To change the world, he knew he first had to unite it. Under the shade of a pomegranate tree, sitting with his legendary mentor, Nooruddin Zangi, the young man learned the deepest secret of leadership. An empire cannot be conquered by steel alone. It must be won through justice and unbreakable faith. The call of history arrived. To unite the fractured lands, Salahuddin marched into the burning sands of Egypt. Look at this army. Thousands of men, stretching across the vast desert dunes under a setting sun. This was not a mob of mercenaries. This was a brotherhood. Riding at the front, his white turban catching the fierce desert wind, was the Sultan. He demanded total discipline, no looting, no injustice. He conquered the hearts of the Egyptians before he ever drew his sword against their rulers. Egypt was now united under one banner. The atmosphere grew heavy. The winds of war were blowing from the west. The Crusaders had broken the peace treaties, massacring innocent pilgrims. The time for talk was over. The steel was sharpened. Sparks flew in the dark, symbolizing the fire burning in the hearts of the men. But their ultimate weapon was not the sharpness of their blades. Under a sea of endless stars, while the world slept, the Sultan and his men bowed their heads in prayer. They knew that victory does not come from numbers. July 1187. The horns of Hattin. Imagine the blinding dust, the suffocating heat, and the deafening screams of war. Salahuddin had outmaneuvered the proud Crusader kings, trapping them in the burning desert, cutting them off from water. The air turned to ash. A brushwood was set ablaze. Thick black smoke choked the heavy iron armor of the Crusaders. The sky bled orange. It was a hell of their own making. Then came the rain, not of water, but of arrows. Thousands of Muslim archers darkened the sky. The unstoppable Crusader army, which had held the East for nearly a century, was completely shattered in a single day. Through the thundering hooves and flying sand, the tide of history turned. The power balance of the world had shifted forever. With the field army destroyed, Salahuddin turned his eyes to the ultimate prize, Jerusalem. For 88 years, the Holy City had been under Crusader rule. Its limestone walls stood tall, proud, and seemingly unyielding against the morning mist. As Salahuddin looked down upon the city from the surrounding ridges, his heart was heavy. 88 years ago, when the Crusaders took this city, they walked in blood up to their knees, slaughtering every Muslim and Jewish inhabitant. Will the Sultan seek revenge? The siege began. The heavy wooden trebuchets groaned under immense tension. The walls trembled. The city realized that no help was coming from Europe. The garrison had no choice but to surrender. Standing by an ancient olive tree, looking at the city gates, Salahuddin made his decision. He would not be a tyrant. He would show them what true Islamic chivalry looked like. On the exact day of the Miraj, the anniversary of the Prophet's heavenly journey, Salahuddin entered Jerusalem. There was no slaughter, no looting. His disciplined soldiers stood guard to protect the retreating Christians, not to harm them. Shedding his armor, wearing simple white robes, the Sultan entered the Dome of the Rock. Sunlight poured through the stained glass, washing over a leader who was weeping in gratitude. He had restored the city to Islam, yet he left the Christian holy sites untouched. While his treasury was emptying, Salahuddin used his own personal wealth to pay the ransom for poor Christians who couldn't afford to leave. He gave bread to the hungry and safety to the weak. The Western world watched in absolute shock. Their fiercest enemy was their greatest savior. As the sun set over the golden dome, painting the sky in deep shades of crimson, peace finally returned to Jerusalem. A peace built not on fear, but on mercy. But Europe would not accept defeat. King Richard the Lionheart launched the Third Crusade. A warrior king of unmatched ferocity, Richard charged into the east like a whirlwind of iron and fury. Yet their war was unique. When King Richard fell ill with fever, Salahuddin did not attack. Instead, he sent his personal doctors, alongside horses laden with fresh fruits and ice from the mountains, to cool the king's fever. They were two titans of history, caught in a duel of wills. They respected each other more than they respected their own allies. A silent understanding grew between them under the blazing sun. Realizing that Jerusalem could never be taken as long as Salahuddin lived, Richard sheathed his sword. A peace treaty was signed. Jerusalem would stay under Muslim rule, but Christian pilgrims would be safe forever. Richard sailed back to Europe, defeated by the Sultan's endurance. Only a few months after the peace, the great Sultan fell ill. In a modest, dark room in Damascus, the master of the East lay dying. He had no grand palace, no golden throne, no vast treasures. When his ministers opened his treasury to fund his funeral, they found nothing. One single piece of gold and 40 pieces of silver. He had given every single coin away to the poor, the widowed, and the orphans. He left nothing for himself. As the rain fell softly over Damascus, a profound grief gripped the world. Christians, Jews, and Muslims wept together. The world had lost a man who conquered empires but lived like a dervish. His faithful horse stood silent in the courtyard, its head bowed, feeling the sudden emptiness of a world without its master. Centuries have passed. Empires have risen and fallen into dust. Yet, across the East and the West, the name of Salahuddin is still spoken with profound honor, etched in statues, books, and legends. He showed the world that true strength lies in humility, that true victory is found in mercy, and that the greatest conqueror is the one who conquers the hearts of humanity. The book of his life may have closed, but his legacy remains written in gold. If you want to see more untold stories of history's greatest leaders, subscribe and join us on this journey. Until next time, stay inspired.